This is the CitizenLink Report.
If you find our insights helpful, would you support our video efforts? Your gift of $25 or more goes a long ways. Covers the crew, lights, cameras, all that. Just click on Donate. Thanks from all of us. We hear you. You wish there were more candidates who'd resonate with your values. Well, CitizenLink is training people how to run for office and how to help out with campaigns. And it's eye-opening.
My assumptions that I had about the political process were incorrect.
This is the CitizenLink Report. I'm Stuart Shepard, along with my friend and colleague, Bill Redmond, who knows a thing or two about running a campaign. Hi, Bill.
Hey, Stuart.
You lead the training sessions that we've been doing, and you've been doing a great job with it. And first, I need to establish that Bill knows a little something about this from real-life experience. You won a rather unlikely victory in a race for the U.S. House of Representatives.
That's correct. A special election in 1997 when Bill Richardson went on to be ambassador to the United Nations. Open seat was created, special election, and I won that to everybody's surprise, coast to coast.
And there are some secrets to how you did that, which you share in the training session.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Why is it important to you to pass along what you know to others who are thinking about running for office or about running campaigns?
I think it's very important for Christians to first be grounded in a biblical worldview generally, but a biblical worldview of government, and for those that decide to be engaged because of what they're seeing, the transformation, rapid transformation of devaluing those things that we value as Christians in our society, it's important to have that biblical worldview and to be trained in that before you learn how to buy your yard signs and bumper stickers.
So for many people, they think they need to separate out their Christianity and their politics, but you say no, they need to be one whole unit.
Absolutely. God created us as whole individuals. In the book of Genesis, it says that we're mind, body, spirit, and emotion holistically. When sin affects our lives, it affects us mind, body, spirit, and emotion holistically. We worship Jesus with our whole mind, body, spirit, and emotion. We're integrated individuals. That's the biblical worldview of the human being, and therefore nothing can be compartmentalized outside of that. So when Jesus says in Matthew 28, verse 19 and 20, before he gives the Great Commission, he says, all authority in heaven and earth is mine. That means all. So there's nothing that gets compartmentalized out, not even politics.
We want to give people a taste of what it's like to attend one of these sessions and how people are reacting to them. You'll notice that it reaches across the entire age spectrum.
And so when I hear Christians and pastors and others saying, well, we can't get involved in politics, what's happened is that they were told the lie that the universe is compartmentalized, and this is the part of the universe that you can be a part of, and that's the faith part, that's the emotional part, that's the private part, but don't come out into the public where we do mathematics and physics and science and government, and the children believe the fairy tales of the Bible, but the real adults, we're over here in this domain operating the economy and the government and the universities and all these other aspects of culture.
I think it's phenomenal. I think it's over the top. How they put this information together is amazing. It's very thorough. It's very it gives a person perspective. It introduces hope into an arena where a person may not have had hope in the past, the fact that we can accomplish and do things within a political activity. But more so than that is that we need to get involved. We cannot just continue to sit on our hands and stay silent.
It's teaching about the values you need to have in politics, and also if I plan on campaigning, it's providing practical methods by which I can campaign effectively.
I didn't really expect to get the depth of information and the directness towards a candidate that is happening here today. I expected more of a kind of an educational scenario where I could sit back and relax, but I'm convicted that I'm going to need to take some action myself personally.
What do you think of Bill as a teacher?
He's great. I never heard of him before, but until today. But he's a great teacher, and I like the way he was explaining things and how he has it for you to be able to follow, and just the way he teaches it.
And we need to become better acquainted how to winsomely present our ideas in a marketplace. Not that we abdicate our belief system or anything like that. It's just that we need to be able to learn how to explain what we believe. Because when you talk about the foundation of a society, when you talk about the family union, when you talk about the gift of life, when you talk about being fiscal conservative, people need to understand what that means. How does that translate into your world that you live in, and how does it benefit them?
I want you to give us an outline of what's covered during the 2 days of this conference.
Well, Stuart, first of all, what makes this particular two-day conference unique is that it is the only one that we're aware of where the participants will first learn a biblical worldview before they learn how to run for office, which makes it very, very unique coast to coast. Once we button down what is a biblical worldview of government, it gives us an understanding as Christians as why we would want to run and how we would govern once we run. Following the biblical worldview component, we then talk about, how do the mechanics work? How do you select the sites, select those individuals that are going to be voting for you, very meticulously identify your voters, get them to the polls. It's based on a statement from Abraham Lincoln. After we deal with the mechanics component, then we deal with messaging, because the candidate is a messenger and the candidate has to have something to say. And so we help the candidate understand who they are as a messenger and also how to craft the message to present to the public. And then lastly, we deal with the means. And the means are time, talent, and treasure. And sometimes the treasure are your volunteers. Sometimes the treasure's finances. So we work on helping the candidates understand how do you recruit volunteers and how do you raise the money you need in order to have a successful win.
Now, given the topics that we deal with here on a weekly basis, I have this suspicion that more than a few people who watch these videos have at least thought about running for office. I want to give you a chance to look right in the camera and share with them your encouragement to perhaps proceed with that.
Well, first of all, I would say that, when I ran in 1997, there wasn't a single person from coast to coast that thought that I could win the 3rd Congressional District in New Mexico. It was news nationwide. And so when other people are saying that this district is unwinnable, there's some things that you can do to actually determine whether it is or is not winnable. And so the candidates should not be discouraged. So if you're thinking about running for office, if you're thinking about standing in the public square, speaking on behalf of the Lord from a biblical worldview on the issues that face us today, don't lose heart. Do the math, learn the training. You can identify whether your district is winnable or not winnable and how to win that district. So don't lose heart before you get started.
Now, we have plans for a half dozen or more of these coming up over the next year. How can people find out when and where they happen?
People can actually go to CitizenLink.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, they are an awesome group of folks. But CitizenLink.com on the internet, and there will be a map there, and it'll give information about all the family policy councils in all the states. But we're going to be posting on a regular basis all of the candidate trainings, what states they're in, the times, and how to get registered.
All right. And again, if you subscribe to our email, that's perhaps the best way to find out as these happen. They're in the works right now. I mean,
Absolutely.
All of these are in process, but we do want you to participate if you have a desire to, even if you're just wondering about how it goes. And what does it cost to go?
It's going to be different for each state because some states the venue costs a little bit more, but it ranges anywhere from $25 to about $80.
That's hardly anything.
It's almost nothing at all.
So keep track of CitizenLink.com. We'll announce these in a timely fashion as each one gets scheduled so you know when there's one that's close to you. Before we leave, I want to give you a chance to share your outlook on the future of the country. I think a lot of people are discouraged right now. Do you think it's possible to turn this thing around?
Absolutely, Stuart. I believe that in God's providence, that when His people repent, that and we seek Him out, as it says in Chronicles, that He will heal our land. And I can show you empirically, state after state, election after election, that pro-life Christian candidates are losing because Christians do not come out and vote. Almost 40% of the Christians that are registered to vote are not showing to vote. I can see that in the voting reports from the Secretary of State. And so once the Christians enter the field as a voter, regardless of who the candidate is, but seeking that candidate whose values most approximate the biblical values, we're going to win.
All right. Very helpful. Thanks for doing these things. I
You
appreciate
bet.
it.
You bet. Thank you.
And we appreciate your watching each week with us here. You may always write to us at mail@citizenlink.com and share your comments, your concerns, your criticism. We encourage you to pray at this time for people who are thinking about running for office, people who have values like you and I do, but who just haven't quite made it past the point of making a firm decision to go ahead and run for office. Pray that they'll get clarity from God as to whether He wants them to run, and that if He does, that they will. And remember, stand tall and be heard.